everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing one of the higher win rate decks according to Untapped, and we're going to be adding a lot of cards from Marvel into this list, being we are adding a Mind Stone. This is an artifact that we can put into play and then sacrifice later. It does have Indestructible, which is a good clause, but if we ever activate the bottom mode, we can start flickering being exile and returning to the battlefield, a non-land permanent, and allowing it to re-enter the battlefield, which works really well with our win condition being Simulacrum Synthesizer. If a CMC of 3 or more on an artifact enters the battlefield, we get to make a construct that is totally free, obviously. But the construct says that we get a 1/1 for each artifact we control, which is primarily the entire deck. And then we get to play a card like Repurposing Bay or Birthing Pod for artifacts, if you know what Birthing Pod is. But we get to sacrifice an artifact and grab one of 1 CMC higher. So if we sacrifice a 2-mana artifact, we get to grab a 3-mana and so on and so forth, which then grabs a Fire Crystal. Fire Crystal being a really sweet card. Red spells cost 1 less, not very relevant, but creatures we control having haste is, and it being artifact matters a lot as well. So it does come in, makes more constructs, and then those constructs have haste, which allow us to close out games very, very quickly whenever our opponent doesn't quite think we can do so. Other than that, obviously, we have Tony Stark to grab artifacts, we have the Mind Stone, and then we also get to add Castle Doom into this list. I will be 100% honest. I forgot to put this into the deck, and I was playing, and the whole time I'm like, man, I haven't drawn one yet. And then I realized that my basics were still the same, and I did not put this in, and I must have canceled the save by accident before queuing up. I don't have time to queue more games because I work tomorrow, and then I have Gen Con coming up next week to get ready for. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and dive into the games. All right, we will keep. Turn 2 interaction, turn 3 interaction, or consistent interaction. That is probably fine. Although I think it's going to make it a bit tough. Although Mind Stone's pretty good find. Oh, we're in the mirror. That's interesting. Let's play Mind Stone. Mind Stone is a way for us late game to do something. We can maybe find out something to do. They go for Synthesizer. I'm gonna go for Snare on their Synthesizer, I think. That's what I'm supposed to do. We can have a Snare off. I have no idea who's gonna win this. Really going to be whoever finds the tutor card, I guess. Might just be them. Yeah, Battlefront's going to be pretty strong here. Make a construct, which is pretty okay. Don't have enough to activate. I'll to tap into there, sure. Funnily enough. Actually helps us out a lot. I almost just want to barrel this. See what I can find. Although it does not look like much overall, but it's pretty solid. I lose my Soul Stone here to this Pinnacle. It might just be ignore the Braided Net, Pinnacle, Relic, and then like draw 2 on that, or I can just do Clayfire Ricks and just get my and up, guarantee a land. Maybe it's not this at all. Maybe it's these. Honestly, would like to save my Pinnacle for later. And I don't really want to get rid of my mana. Over this, it might have just been to play the Clayfire Ricks to get another basic. Gone from there to guarantee our land drop to play this into this. And then look for the Pinnacle somewhat time after. The other thing too is they have to be careful with Pinnacle. They can take their own things away from them. You go Snare to hit the Synthesizer. This is just an awful situation. My opponent being on the play is always tough. Resolves. Okay. I would like to activate here. Just need that to stop asking me if I would like to play the game. One of the reasons I didn't really want to run the Pinnacle right away, because it's a situation where you kind of want them in the deck to be played. Although it's obviously going to be very hard here. They have this to activate. Never. You find land. However, what I do with this land, I have no idea at this point. It's synthesizer. I gotta be that. Do another snare. Make construct. This will enter. I kind of just have to leave the construct and take this. I can't let them go get the thing that gives haste. Or maybe I could tap it on their upkeep, right? Yeah, I guess I maybe should have just prioritized something else. Really hoping this Battlefront can maybe exile this graveyard, or not this graveyard, this battlefield. But it could be pretty bad from here. One more land, this is still 9. They can make a copy of synthesizer. Does have to tap to do its ability, so they do need one more land. And they were on to play, so they definitely missed the land. Okay, so they're pinnacling here. We also have no reason not to block here, right? Maybe could have tapped one, I guess. Dock. Good pinnacles. Sure. A lot of relics, and they have constructs coming in after. 2 mana. Another relic, I think, at least. Turn. Land. The worst thing in the world. Go here. Is that one construct? Is this enough? Eight. If I go and give it haste, you just don't have to block. I can get this out, I guess. They have to block 2 of these, so they lose all their creatures. So they do actually have to block here. The other funny part, though, if I'm not quite sure why we would commit to that, if our opponent plays one of these, the synthesizer trigger will actually cause a trigger to go on the stack, which will actually allow us to respond to the battlefield, and which will then allow us to braided net in response. Interesting. They're going to Pinnacle here. The thing, though, that they have to be worried about is Pinnacle, sure, but I still have this in play, right? And they're giving me a lot of card draw to lead into this turn. They already played in land, too. Two creatures, not too worried about. We'll activate this one in step to tap one of these. Oh, Authority of the Councils will do it. Unless I can find a way to exile it. You can always try, of course. Have one of these. What to do. Funnily enough, I can just kind of clear this board and then grab another synthesizer. A lot of my stuff will enter tapped, but at least they have to figure it out from there, I guess. What a weird spot to be in. I could also look to draw a lot of cards, and this can craft anyway, so I don't even have to necessarily do much. I can go Spring-Loaded Trap here. Answer this while I can. I will go Am I 1 mana? No, I have a land to play. Okay, I was like, how am I 1 mana short from what I thought? Sacrifice stats. I could get a snare now, but because I have another 2 mana artifact, I guess I could just answer it, right? I can just win here. Yeah, if I'm not stupid. Okay, I have to win regardless. We want this to happen after our snare. So snare exiles here. The reason we need it to happen is so our creature enters untapped. Then we go braided net. I almost missed this. It is not cash money. We get it regardless, I guess. It's okay to miss it for a little while as long as we catch it in the end. I was like, I know I need to get rid of this. We didn't, fortunately enough, we didn't have a 2 mana thing in play anyway, so we did have to kind of stumble into that a little bit. But game 1 down in the books, but we're ready to continue on, I suppose. All right, I am ready to go. Pretty good hand. I mean, bop, bop, everything good, right? Your aggro, these are good. If not, I can just play them regardless. Lead into synthesizer. Like, they have a pretty good chance of being good. Go here. Oh no, my no more lies unavailable. Ike, they're fully prepared. And there's a Badgermole Cub. I almost just want to hit this land with this, but I think taking out this creature is probably... Taking out the creature better or the land better? I think it's taking out the land, fortunately. We do it before so they can't put a counter on the Paw Patch and grow it. Then I think here I'm just going straight into Repurposing Bay to go for Pinnacle. Because they'll be short. Although we do find this. I guess if they Shelter by Ghost, we can then use this, right? So, go Repurposing. Obviously, maybe it should have been this. But I do think getting a Pinnacle and clearing the board and then leading into this would be great. Also, sometimes just having this online is better in general. Our Pinnacle is going to be phenomenal here. Or I just rip one off the top like a mad lad. Do I just play it off the top? So if they Shelter a creature that's tapped or something, my Spring Loaded comes back? I guess so. Just take it off. I guess also if I pop this, it's a little weird. You have to try to set our synthesizer in play. Right, Glass Gearhulk. Typically don't play around this version that much. Don't typically like it all too well. I do think it's a bit worse at times. I'm gonna go Clayfire here. Especially because I really need to be able to lead into another Pinnacle. Play a land here. Then probably look to Spring Loaded Trap the Bright Glass. And then sack this to absorb all these. Especially if they overcommit here. See? It's going to be a hard game to get through. This is why that one turn I thought maybe getting the synthesizer down would have been a bit better. Damn this. Go pause. Pause right now is the counters for Arena to actually trigger and activate. They double load up on the token. Probably a smart play, to be honest. They commit anything else. They play another Jennifer Walters. Nice. I'm just not quite getting to exactly what we want here. I think I just have to play Pinnacle and play cleanup duty one more time, right? It's just too hard to keep up with. I want to go for this, and I want to go for this. This could be good. How much damage do I realistically take? The problem would be like an Ouroboros, right? So I could take a ton. We just have to do this. We save this. So if our Pinnacle ever does get pops, we get it back. And we get to go fetch out a basic. Extra little things. Why like this one isn't necessarily that great for us. Overall, they're going to prioritize this one over this one. We hit another land, it'll be a prime opportunity to go for this if we really want to, but honestly it might just be synthesizer into a snare. So we make a construct plus exile a thing. Especially if they go for this again, then we can exile their token. So if this ever needs to be popped to our repurposing bay, we never lose our value. Because then we don't have to give them a creature or unit back. They're just doing well. They are a little flooded, but that does make their bossing say good. And their other land actually quite good. Here. Go for another one of those. I do have to be worried about Ouroboros plus the white card that like double pumps. Is a little bit of my concern. So I'm gonna go here. Kind of hope I can hit some stuff together. Doesn't really seem that way. Fire does gain a little life, so it's a little bit better than the Mind Stone. The Fire Crystal going on bottom here is pretty huge. Maybe it's supposed to be the Soul Stone because I do have a land to play this turn, so it feels a little counterintuitive to do it this way. However, with the braided net and stuff, this is now a chance to get my synthesizer finally on the battlefield. Even though it's the opposite way I would like to do so. I'm going to pass on both of these to try to find a little more impactful cards. Because right now my turn's pretty solid on just synthesizer snare. I want counter on each creature that I control. If I tap one of their creatures, they get 2 counters anyway, so it does feel counterintuitive here to do that. This is non-land, right? Yeah, so if they ever bring up a land, I cannot actually do that much with it. However, we do hit land. We're going to go here. We're going to play synthesizer, number 2, and then I think I can actually just win the game here. I would have to count the amount of artifacts I'm about to make, but I don't need much more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pop this, get that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 generically. We're going to make a construct, then we're going to make 2 more constructs. So they'll be 7, 8, 9. So it'll be 18, 27. Yeah, so they're super cooked here, and we win that anyway. Kind of funny. Obviously, the backside didn't really do much. But you can put an artifact from your hand onto the battlefield if there's equipment attached. It doesn't have to be an equipment. Nowhere in the law does it say it has to be an equipment. So we go here so we can play this and then activate if we want. Seems pretty good in my primarily artifact-based deck, although I'm an absolute clown. I probably should just played this, and then done this, but, you know, against my Graveyard Reanimate deck. Although, realistically, we're going to lose probably this anyway, or this. Although this is really hard to beat, so I'd be surprised if it's not Synthesizer. However, this deck for us is pretty hard to beat, I'm going to be honest. Error of the Peaks is pretty tough. And we can't really just slot in cards for the Relic. There's just no way it's the Relic, right? I'm going to be a bit more aggressive here on my line of play. Fire Bricks isn't bad, so I guess I take it. I know I wanted to get Synthesizer down. Maybe I'm supposed to, but I really was looking to solidify this game plan. Yeah, maybe my opponent missed the land. I don't die. This is such a bad matchup, though, in my opinion. It feels so hard to just stop their game plan. This Bringer, obviously, is pretty good. If I can go here... I could go Synthesizer here and then look to play Battlefront after. Just probably a good move. Okay. So I don't even want to play my Clay Fire Bricks then. I want to Battlefront both of these, quite frankly. I definitely want that one more. Do I just want to activate this, or do I just play here? Not a sorcery, right? they play a second green, they could technically blow this up. Or that. That would do it too. Maybe that's why they weren't worried about the synthesizer. Yeah, blow up. Ooh. Just good value. That's great for me. We really, however, need to find the ideal card to kind of one-shot our opponent. Thankfully, their graveyard's not all that overwhelming here. They left our synthesizer, I think, with their graveyard only being that. I realistically think the play is to play Clayfire, play Snare, and exile this. Then make our construct. Just don't let them mill over extra cards, right? Or I just go for this now and hope that it's just not enough on 3 mills, which may be the play. Then how do I refill, right? I think it's actually still the Snare. Slow their plan, threaten, you know, a construct that's pretty large overall. 6/6 is nothing to really scoff at. They don't have double green right now for exiling. If they blow up my Snare, they get to kind of do it twice, which would be bad. Just maybe one negative to this play. Actually, it's a pretty big negative, but still not letting a mill 3. Their graveyard is okay overall. Elemental. So now they have double green. They can do the whole creature now if they would like. Yeah, there it is. And this is why this matchup's now so hard. They exile that instead of here. Okay. I don't know. I'm not convinced on the plays thus far. I can say that much. Go here. You go synthesizer, Snare, I guess. Or is it Pinnacle? There's no reason it's supposed to be Pinnacle. Exile here, so even if they get it back, it doesn't matter. Synthesizer, I do have to go for the tutor card, pretty much. I'm just not going to win this game unless I do that. I could play Tony Stark. I don't know if there's a reason, especially if they reanimate. Well, if they reanimate, I get one back anyway, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter if I play this one. I'll have them just on a cycle loop here. I have to imagine they do it. If they flip a terror here, might see me baby rage out. Yeah, here we go. We're going to get the cycle, which is a little tough, obviously. So, in step, that triggers. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff on the board, but our constructs can combat this a bit unless we draw entirely dead. Where Tony Stark can be good. Find the perfect card. But do we have a card that deals with this? I don't know. Yeah. And then we go into... Problem is they'll be able to block, right? So, I don't exile here. Maybe I just exile this. And then I look to pop them next turn by grabbing maybe another Snare here. Then maybe this is a troll play. Oh, maybe it's Braided Net actually. Because then I can tap a creature, then tap another creature. The problem is in this matchup, what's so hard is they can just block and then do Superior Spider-Man again. Because the way Superior Spider-Man works with the Bringer is that it actually brings the Bringer back to the battlefield before the exiling of the card. Great hit. Here's the thing. If they do this to board wipe, then they lose. Right? If they Superior Spider-Man this to board wipe, then it's over. So we want to tap, I guess, here. I'll absorb all the small stuff. That's fine. Or do I even bother? No, I have to, because this is probably them doing it regardless of what I do. So we'll block either way. And those I'm not too worried about, because I can tap those, and I can definitely go wide enough with 2 synthesizers here that I'm not that stressed about it. I think. And also remember, because we did the Tony Stark play, we have them cycling along with this over and over again. Maybe the 2-3 wasn't worth blocking. Oh, well, they immediately do that. Sure. Not as good of a play anymore. Smiley face. We hit a land, which is obviously not that great. So overall, it's working out pretty well for my opponent. I could exile this bringer, but they just have another one. But they have to be out of superior Spider-Mans at this point, you would think. Or at least low on them. We could harness the Mind Stone as well. Do I have enough mana to do both? Maybe I just do this. I can... At the beginning of your insta. Okay. So I have nothing really worth flickering all too much. I don't have one of these snares that are just kind of empty. So I can just go for... I guess I get to activate it anyway, right? Which is pretty sweet. So I guess go here, grab a snare. Synthesizer, exile this bringer. Then, oh, I'm one short on that, which is tough. I'm actually going to go ahead and craft this to look to draw. I will do one of these out of here. This is typically a really bad matchup because they can just make so much stuff here. Because not a sorcery, but that's a bit tough. Discard 5. So maybe that was a bad play. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know. 5, I guess. Maybe that was a bad play because the Fire Crystal now sucks. Because I can't really give my stuff haste. Although I do have lethal on the board, right? Every turn I slowly make lethal. Can't really do much about it. Because they need to mill and then cycle more. Technically, they could have a pretty good turn if they pop this snare, get awakened back, pop another one, get a thing back. Kind of repeat that process over and over again. Running sort of out of stuff. Again, I do think I'll change my block this time. I'll only block here. And so if they want to bring stuff back, they'll have a little less to bring back this time. Third superior Spider-Man, by the way. They're just like ripping them naturally. I do bring back 2 legendary Tony Starks, which is quite funny. I will keep this one. They made a copy of Tony Stark, which is a weird one. So unable to do that. I now can go relic into other stuff. I just don't know what to do here. We want to play this because we have to get to the Fire Crystal, I guess. We can just jam this first. Play Fire's pretty good. Braided Nut's pretty good. We just want a little bit of life. And they're fully empty-handed, right? The odds of them ripping another superior Spider-Man, so help me, better be so low. I could activate here. I just don't know if that's worth. Or I could just go for another Pinnacle here. Or Battlefront, not Pinnacle. Yeah. Braided Net. Then I already have 2, so grabbing either of those Pinnacles just seems like a bad idea. Then I can tap both their flyers here. Then they can't attack me, so they have to have yet another superior Spider-Man, and these have to be in the graveyard. Or they have to waterfall some stuff down. I still don't know if activating this made a ton of sense, but obviously having a million cards in my hand feels pretty good. Having to discard 5 felt pretty okay. They haven't had a crazy amount of milling going on. They have had quite the hand of turnover, so this is kind of what it takes to win this match, but you can kind of see how hard it is, and there's probably somewhere along the way that I messed up. But I think there's also a good chance my opponent is not going to play with me much longer. You can't stop me. They're just stalling and trying to do something, hoping I leave, I think. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they're just having connection issues. I shouldn't really say anything. There was like 7 amber weather alerts in my area. Yeah. Attempted tornado landings. Pretty crazy. And then flood warnings all the rest of the night. I've never had that weather before. Got my opponent's back to tanking. And they concede. Okay. Like, we could have just done that at the beginning if you wanted to keep playing, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, we'll take it and we'll move on. Oh, let's hope we rip something, I guess, along the way. It's kind of hard to turn his hand over. On the play, anyway. On the draw, I probably would. But obviously, we just don't do anything in time. We have double red, so ripping the bad cards is fine. Innkeeper's talent. Okay. Synthesizer. No. Shuffler's fine. The perfect time to draw your extra starting towns. Ooh, is that all? Take everything. You get their line back, obviously, but reducing the bad. Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll play one more. Having the fire crystal in the opener is almost makes it an automatic maul. Sure. Pretty hard to keep a hand that has the fire crystal in the opener. Hopefully they're not land destruction because I'm ripping all my basics. Star, don't you worry about it. Figuring it out. Oh, it's the mirror. Again. I swear all I've played in these matches have been Reanimator and the mirror. And then trickle in a couple random things. It's just quite interesting. Oh, here, I'll show them. I'll show them what we both can be about. They play theirs first. I snare it. They snare my snare. And then I snare their snare. Then my snare re-enters, re-exiling this. Everything just all makes sense. We go Relic. Okay. Well, I will lead off to Synthesizer because I'm a scared boy. Would love to play this land, but I would like to activate Tony Stark. We're gonna activate Stark first because once I figure out my top end, I don't want to go the opposite way, right? Like if I keep 2 cards on the top, I don't really want to keep. Yeah. Deal. Pretty good to me. We're gonna go right into this, which goes right into this. You can approach this matchup in a couple of ways. You can go very passive, which is what I felt like we did the first time. They missed a land, I think. No. Yes? Well, I feel way more confident that I'm just not going to randomly get hit. So before I play my land, I am going to play the Battlefront. And the reason I'm going to play the Battlefront first is because if I hit that Mind Stone or something, I do want the option to do stuff. Bottom. Play here. Here and here. Now our land's online. Which is roughly all we need. When you have this land online, it becomes very hard to lose the mirror. Now that I say that out loud, I'm probably going to lose. Also, you can apparently play this on a budget. I'm saying. So, is it just play... Did it just play braided net, crack the braided net, get the haste, I think, right? Braided net. I have a fire crystal. Combat. Okay. Weird game. Really weird game. I think we have to call it there. Okay, so disclaimer. I came back to the deck in the outro, and I apparently, when moving the list over from what I was kind of looking at and what I was looking to build it towards, when moving the list over, I fully forgot to put Hollowed Fountains in my deck. I thought I played a couple. I didn't put a single copy of this in. Nor did I play Castle Doom, which just says it can tap for any color of artifacts. And if you don't want to play Tony Stark, guess what your entire deck is? Artifacts other than this. And if you don't have a planes to cast this, okay, well, you lose the game. If you have 4 of these and you can't play this, or you're in a scenario where you have 3 of these, or 2 this and your island, you're probably not winning that game anyway. You're probably not winning that game anyway. But you know what's really cool if you draw the fire crystal? Being able to cast it. This fire crystal is such more of a, oh no, my game became a lot harder when you draw it because you don't play these. Also, this gives you a backup plan. You can just sack artifacts and make 3/3s, and you can do that at any point, really. On your turn. But like, we could make 3/3s if we have dead artifacts to play, right? So, yeah, we fixed that, and then I cut the blue one of these because I think the blue one's not really worth that much, because if you're making it big enough constructs to activate the blue one, a lot of times probably don't need it. And the white one is good because if you're in that situation where your opponent's board wiping you over and over again, this is important. But yeah, I will sacrifice a little land synergy to play this over not. If you really want to not risk that, you can play more starting towns. But I also like my land on turn 4 coming in untapped, which is another thing that starting town kind of lacks in that spot, is sometimes this will come in tapped, which makes not able to play this anyway on the turn you might need to. But overall, the deck list is solid. I enjoy playing artifacts a lot. I do, for whatever reason, maybe I just rage a little too quick, but I do feel like I play against the Reanimator deck a ton whenever I queue this deck up, because it's a very, very, very hard matchup. Just because they mill over, you don't really interact with them, and if you just don't have your graveyard hate piece, they're like, okay, can you answer 45 power after a Terror of the Peak shoots you for that much? Not really. You just kind of fold to that. But if the matchup's grindy and mono red's not really existing, there's really no reason that a deck like this, or a variation looking to maybe be a little more prison-y and slowly build out the artifacts, could be a little bit better. For example, maybe being a bit more hateful towards the graveyards by maybe playing Rest in Peace or something in there. But you kind of want to play artifacts for obviously the artifact build-up. But overall, the deck's pretty solid, and I always typically enjoy playing this deck. Sometimes it can go bad, but that's okay. That's how every deck can be. You can play the best deck in the world, and you have a bad run, it's going to feel awful. So it doesn't quite matter. But with that said, I hope you all enjoy it, and I'll catch you in the next. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.